Hey guys, Robotic Apple XL here, and welcome to the History of Apple Wars video. The complete history, well, I don't know about complete history, but the history of Apple Wars, a video that I've had planned to do for ages, but I'm doing it right now. After I mentioned it, I would do it in my previous video. So, yeah, this is the history of Apple Wars, and this video I'm going to tell you guys every single Apple Wars champion in the history, and why exactly I divide Apple Wars into three sections: Apple Wars Original, Apple Wars Legacy, and Apple Wars XL. There is a reason why I divide them into three, so, yeah, and this actually quite, coincidence or not, 2026 marks the 10-year anniversary since I've been doing Apple Wars, so, yeah, I think this is a perfect time to do this video, and everything, so, yeah, but before we get into the actual robots, the champions of every series, let's talk about the Apple Wars House robots, because they deserve the spotlight as well. So, the Apple Wars House robots, the original first house robots, the three that are still going to this day are Mono, Dozer, and Rana Rana. I think it was between Series 6 and 11 of the original Apple Wars that I introduced the house robots. Because Series 1 to 4, well, I'll get into more detail in a second and later, but Series 6 of Apple Wars Original was the first series where I introduced the house robots, I'm pretty sure, because that's the first series I used the Robot Wars Heat format. So, yeah, Mono and Dozer were introduced back then, I'm pretty sure, as just house robots, of course, and Rana Rana became the referee, the ref bot of Apple Wars around that time as well. But apart from those three, back in the day, the other house robots were Dolphin, Lion, Mud Runner, Whirlwind, Blue Rana Rana, and the Giraffe Twins. Which, yeah, all of them introduced around Series 6 to 11. Obviously, I don't exactly remember when I introduced all of them exactly. But it was around Series 6 or 11, or between Series 6 and 11 of original Apple Wars. But yeah, Dolphin and Lion were, the same cheap skateboards that Mona and Rana Rana are, just with the animal skateboards with a dolphin and a lion. Same with Blue Rana Rana as well. Blue Rana Rana was actually the partner in crime of Rana Rana. Obviously, they were the refbot. They were both refbots, kind of inspired of the refbot twins from Robot Wars Great, I think it was called, that series from Robot Boys Revenge, I'm pretty sure, back in the day. So yeah, those were those. Mud Runner, I actually have no idea, I can't remember at all what Mud Runner was. I remember it was like some sort of flag bot or something. It had a maze or something, but yeah, I can't remember much of that. And Whirlwind was a cheap plastic yellow car I had, with just pushing power and stuff, so... yeah, and obviously the Giraffe Twins, were same cheap skateboards with giraffes. There was black giraffe and blue giraffe. So yeah, and if you saw Apple Wars XL Series 1, you will know those two were in Series 1 of Apple Wars. So Apple Wars XL. So yeah, but unfortunately, over time, all the ones I mentioned, Dolphin, Lion, Mud Runner, Whirlwind, and Blue Rana Rana, eventually just got destroyed or lost, and, well, yeah, they couldn't be house robots anymore, and at least it was about time for, like, around Series 24 of original Apple Wars, then, that they basically, one by one, were just getting destroyed and not appearing anymore, and, yeah, I don't have pictures of them because, I don't have pictures of them because they got lost years ago now, and... Unfortunately, the Giraffe Twins are the latest victims of the house robot disappearance. My little brother flushed them down the drain in 2022. While my mom was showering him, and he was very young, and threw them down the drain, and they don't exist anymore. So, yeah, I repeat, the Giraffe Twins. All those house robots don't exist anymore. That's why Mono, Dozer, and Rana Rana are considered the original three house robots. And then around Series 27 of OG Apple Wars, Dracona was introduced. Dracona was actually made out of my original Sheriff model, which was terrible. I gave I gave it a crusher, and there you go. Just put Dracona in there, and there you go. Because I need some new house robots after all those others that I mentioned earlier got wrecked and destroyed and couldn't compete anymore. So yeah, Dracona introduced around, I'm pretty sure, with Apple Wars Series 27. So there's Dracona. Now, Biactual, who I actually say is the big guy, the leader of the house robots, the big one of the bunch, was actually one of the newest house robots. He was introduced in Apple Wars Series 30, Apple Wars OG Series 30. He was actually made out of Monad 7's body, and then gave him a wedge and a pickaxe, and you have Biactual. So yeah, he was introduced in Apple Wars Series 30, which, spoiler alert, was the last series of the original Apple Wars. So yeah, he's actually quite a new house robot still. And then we have Chuck, which I love Chuck. I only realized it's from the show from The Adventures of Chuck and His Friends or something like that. And I only learned while searching all my stuff for this video to make sure I got all the facts correct that the name of the crane is not Chuck, it's Handy. That's the name of that character right there. I couldn't remember that guy's name, so I just named him Chuck. And now I find out it's Handy, so yeah. Oh well, it doesn't matter. It's still called Chuck. I had him for years, Chuck, but only became an official house robot for Apple Wars XL Series 1, because I'm pretty sure I had 5 house robots. I had five house robots for Series 1, and I wanted to have an even 6, not counting Rana, obviously. But yeah, I wanted an even 6 house robots, so I just put Chuck in there, and well, he's now a house robot. So yeah, Chuck is a house robot, and that's pretty much all of the house robots Apple Wars has ever had. Yeah, let's start getting into Apple Wars original, or should I say, Random Robo War. Random Robo War. The reason it's called that is because I combined the name of my 2 favorite Family Robo series of all time, Random Robot Wars by Random Robotics / King Pasa, and Robo War from Lumers 1995. So yeah, because I honestly had no idea what to call my series, so I just combined my 2 favorite random Family Robo series, and that's where the name Random Robo War came. Very generic, but oh well. I was like 8 to 10 years old when I got that name. So yeah, and I renamed it Apple Wars Original, just to continue the legacy from the other Apple Wars series, just so they're all called Apple Wars. But yeah, technically it was called Random Robo War, but now I call it Apple Wars Original. But okay, rambling on and off, and Apple Wars OG Series 1 was won by Apollo, ladies and gentlemen. So I'm pretty sure Series 1 had like 12 robots, or maybe 13, and Apollo won it. This is not the Apollo that won Series 1. The Apollo that won Series 1 was actually a Hot Wheels Honda Racer that was blue, and I glued a piece of cardboard that resembled Apollo's flipper on top of it, and there you go, that was Apollo. He beat Danton Kia in the final. We'll get to Danton Kia later. I actually have a piece of paper that holds all the top 4s of Apple Wars Original of all time. So yeah, I'm looking at this or recording this just to make sure I don't get facts wrong. But yeah, Apollo won Series 1, and trust me, it's the first of many titles to come for this robot. Series 2 of Apple Wars OG was won by Jawbreaker, from a replica of Jawbreaker from Robotica. It beat Apollo in the final, who nearly got 2 titles back to back, but no, Jawbreaker stopped that. It's just, again, it's not the same robot that won Series 2. Although it's basically the same design with the grabbing arm on the tap and the little cardboard bit at the bottom. The only difference is this Jawbreaker that you see on screen has wheels, and the original one that won Series 2 didn't. So, but yeah, it beat Apollo in the final and became one of the Apple Wars champions. And then Series 3 happened. Yeah, Series 3 was won by Pulsar. Pulsar, again, not the same robot that won Series 3. The Pulsar that won Series 3 was made out of clay, and it was very fragile, as you can imagine. It was very fragile. Obviously, the drum didn't move, but yeah, it won Series 3. It beat Assure, the original Assure, which was a cluster bot, a wedge and spinner cluster bot. It beat them in the final and became the Apple Wars OG Series 3 champion, Pulsar. moving on to Apple Wars OG Series 4. The winner, quite a surprising winner, Crackers and Smash, folks. Crackers and Smash are former Apple Wars champions. That's right. They beat Azure in the final again. Azure was the first unlucky robot to make it to 2 grand finals and not win a single one of them. And both were back to back. So yeah, that sucks for Azure. But yeah, Crackers and Smash, just like the actual robot, it was Crackers. Well, Crackers was just a wedge, not a whister, just a wedge robot. And Smash had a drum, which didn't move obviously, but it had a drum. It was made out of they were made out of taps and pieces of cardboard. So yeah, probably one of the most shocking champions in Apple Wars history were Crackers Smash Series 4. And just to say, the first 4 series of Apple Wars original were with the bracket format of BattleBots. So yeah, and then Series 5 happened and was won by Apollo again, the same Apollo that won Series 1, won Series 5, and already got up to 2 titles. And Series 5 of Apple Wars original was the first one to use Robot Wars format, though it used the reboot format of Series 8 and 9. It beat Jawbreaker in the final, and Pulsar actually came third in there, so the top 3 were actually the 3 of the 4 former champions from Apple Wars, were the top 3 of Series 5, and Apollo got his second title in Apple Wars. Apple Wars Series 6 came along, and this is where I started using the loved Heat format of the classic Robot Wars. Yeah, anyway, Series 6, won by Rambot. Very original name, I know. But Rambot won Series 6 with just a pushing robot. It's made out of the chassis of a 2009 Taken Point Thomas. Yeah, and had a lot of pushing power, 6-wheel drive. The 2 magnets added were like spikes, so it was very good. It can self-ride. And yeah, Rambot beat Jawbreaker's Revenge in the final. So Jawbreaker's another robot that got to 2 finals back to back and lost, but at least he had already won a series. But yeah, Rambot, Series 6 champion, and again one of the more surprising champions, but still a good robot. And yeah, Rambot. Series 7 of Apple Wars OG was won by Cobalt, not the BattleBots Cobalt that's also Carbide. My Cobalt, which is spelled with a K. I don't know why in the Blade it says with a C, but it's supposed to be with a K. Anyway, Cobalt won Series 7 of Apple Wars OG. We saw him in the Apple Wars XL pilot and the Apple Wars XL Series 1, but he had to pull out because he got destroyed off camera, so unfortunately the Black Shadow had to replace him, and Cobalt is now retired, unfortunately. But yeah, but basically it was a full body spinner that also acted like a flipper. The top thing flipped and spin, which made him one of the most deadly robots in Apple Wars history. It beat Argent in the final. Argent, another robot we'll get into later, but it beat him in the final. And Cobalt got his first trophy in Apple Wars history, the spinning flipping robot. So yeah, congrats to Cobalt for the Series 7 title. Series 8, another surprising champions of Apple Wars. It was won by a robot called Rubber Duck. Now, why is it called Rubber Duck? I have little clues. Remember, I was 9 to 10 years old when I named these robots. So yeah, it was a KFC toy of it had to do with the Looney Tunes characters playing football or soccer or whatever you want to call it, but it had to do with that. And it's a pushing robot that's very strong armor because it's made out of plastic, and also has a spring-loaded moving arm, which you can hear right now. That's the sound. That also helped him self-ride, and it was a very well to the ground. It was a very tough robot to get under or get around and do something with, and that's how it won Series 8 of Apple Wars. It beat Apollo in the final to win Series 8, and it was a very good robot. Obviously, fallen off by the wayside in later years, but it was a good robot back then. So yeah, Rubber Duck, the Series 8 champion of Apple Wars. Series 9 was won by a more well-known robot in both Robot Wars and I guess Family Wars as well. Series 9 was won by Really Big Cheese, my cardboard replica of it. Again, again, I obviously don't have any of the pullbacks. I don't have Pussycat, but yeah, my Willie McCheese won Apple War Series 9 again over Apollo, who you'll hear that name a lot. if I already said that, but yeah, Willie McCheese beat Apollo in the final, and that's my cardboard replica of it. You can see it has no wheels. I never gave it wheels for some reason. But yeah, it's battered and bruised now. You can see the how much tape there is in the paper, the yellow the paper on it is kind of cracked and breaking. But yeah, that Willie McCheese replica is long retired. I retired it years ago. A lot of these champions kind of just fell by the wayside, but at the end of Apple Wars, of the Apple Wars run. But yeah, Willie McCheese won Series 9, and that was his first and only major title with one Apple. So yeah, congrats to Willie McCheese, the Series 9 Apple Wars champion. Series 10 came along, and I'm sure Racer 1905 is gonna be happy about to know this, but to hear that Racer also won Apple Wars back in the day. My poor Racer replica who has seen much better days. I covered it in masking tape, and yeah. But yeah, that used to be Racer. He had a Crusher, obviously, which did quite well. It beat Firestorm in the final, because of course it did. Racer is, Racer just defeats Firestorm all the time, doesn't he? So yeah, it beat Firestorm in the final to win Series 10 of Apple Wars. We actually did see Racer in Apple Wars Series 1, where it got knocked out in the first round to Arno 5 and Stinger, I believe. I'm pretty sure, yeah. Arno 5 and Stinger in Apple Wars XL Series 1. That was Racer's last showing. And again, this is Racer's only Racer's only title in Apple Wars history, so yeah, congrats to Racer for his Series 10 championship. Series 11 came along, and it was won by Exterminator. So yeah, Robotastics must be happy about that. But yeah, Series 11, Exterminator won it. It won it over, oh, what a surprise, Apollo. It won it over Apollo. The title, this was not the same Exterminator that won Series 11. The Exterminator that won Series 11 was a replica, a very bad replica, of the spinner version of Series 7 of Robot Wars. So yeah, and that's the version that won Series 11. Exterminator still competes with the model you see on screen, although very battered. I do need to give him maybe a bit of upgrades, I guess. I need to fix him up a bit, because he looks quite janky right now. But yeah, Exterminator won Series 11 of the original Apple Wars, so congratulations to Exterminator. And we did see him in Apple Wars XL Series 1, went out to Mystic in the second round, so yeah. And let's continue the Robot Wars Robots winning championships, because Series 12 was won by Danton Kia. And that's what remains of my Danton Kia model. It was just that yellow Lamborghini that you see on screen, but it had a piece of cardboard that was painted yellow and black, and that's how it flipped. That was its flipper. You just pressed on the back and it flipped. And that's the same road that came runner-up in Series 1 of Apple Wars. Won Series 12. Danton Kia beat Richie in the final. Richie, based on from the old featherweight robot, the black lifting featherweight robot from the FRA championships, if you know who that is, Richie. But yeah, that was a replica of Richie. But yeah, Danton Kia beat Richie in that final and became the Series 12 champions of Apple Wars. So yeah, congrats to Danton Kia for his title. And Series 13 comes with another interesting champion, to say the least. It's Series 13 was won by BattleBot, which was I guess a replica of BattleBot from MOU4 Robot Wars. I really like BattleBot then, so I kind of built him out of a McDonald's toy car and gave him a front flipper of cardboard, just like Danton Kia and Apollo. And that's what happened. There you go, that's BattleBot. Won Series 13, I'm gonna guess over Apollo. Yep, it was over Apollo, that Series 13 championship. But yeah, BattleBot, the Series 13 Apple Wars champion, they're former champions. They were not in Apple Wars XL Series 1. They are not retired, but they're not very active either. So yeah, they're kind of in a weird status. BattleBot's Revenge, or BattleBot's Revenge is its sequel. But yeah, BattleBot Series 13 champion of Apple Wars. And next up, Series 14, we're finally getting back to a robot that I actually came up with, which is Apocalypse. Apocalypse actually made out of the Honda Racer I used for the original Apollo. Obviously, I built a Apollo replica by this point, out of cardboard. So I gave the Honda Racer to Apocalypse, which was a full body flipper, you can see, had a front cardboard wedge, and it had some popsicle sticks as its to make the mechanism of the flipper. It also had a tree mech, and it won Series 14 of Apple Wars. It defeated I cannot speak. It defeated the Revolutionists in the final, which Revolutionists, a replica of Revolutionists from MLU4 Robot Wars. So yeah, it beat them in the final. A very powerful machine. And this wouldn't be the only time Apocalypse would surprise everyone, because the series after, it won again, Series 15, making Apocalypse the only robot in Apple Wars history to win back-to-back titles. That's right, the only robot to win back-to-back titles in Apple Wars history is Apocalypse. It defeated Green Fury in the final. Green Fury was an axe bot that would later on turn into Fury from Robot Wars Armageddon. Series 15, Apocalypse, the only robot to win back-to-back titles in Apple Wars history, and drew Apollo in the amount of titles, so it could have easily become the most successful robot in Apple Wars history. And Series 16, they almost did it. They got to the grand final of Series 16, but they lost to Pixar 2. And unfortunately, Pixar 2 is... I don't have Pixar 2 anymore. He got thrown out years ago, and he's no longer with us. So, unfortunately, he's the only Apple Wars champion we don't have any visible image of. So yeah, poor Pixar 2, but it beat Apocalypse in the grand final. Pixar 2 was like a packet of pens, I think, with a cardboard front hinge flipper. And yeah, that's how it won Series 16, Pixar 2. It stopped Apocalypse from potentially getting 3 titles in a row, which I think has only been done once in Family Wars history, which was when Grievous won 3 series in a row in pre-Robo War. But that's the only other time I can recollect a robot winning 3 seasons in a row. But anyway, speaking of Robo War, actually, the Series 17 champion was Ace. And yeah, Ace was the first Robo War robot to win Apple Wars. So yeah, Ace, a replica from Robo War, it beat Ultron Storm in the final. Ultron Storm, a legend of Apple Wars. That was his best performance ever, Ultron Storm. But Ace defeated it in the final, and Ace, an old robot now, you can see he has way too much save. Yeah, definitely retired Ace, but it was a very powerful flipper back in the day. Yeah, I don't have much else to say other than Ace. I'm pretty sure Ace came in as a newcomer in Series 17 and just beat everyone and won Series 17 in his first go, so well done to Ace. And Series 18, the champion, the king of Apple Wars, is back on his throne. Apollo won Series 18 of Apple Wars and became the first 3-time champion in Apple Wars history. This is the version of Apollo that won. I just painted it silver and turned it into Silver Apollo. But yeah, Apollo defeated A9132 in the final. So, yeah, Apollo Series 18 champions got the 3 trophies. Congratulations to him. And then Series 19 was won by Argent X3. Remember Argent from who lost to Cobalt in the Series 7 Grand Final? Well, he finally got his revenge as he won Series 19. The Argentinian robot won it over A9132 again. So A9132 joins the club of robots that came runner-up back-to-back and didn't win it. So that's poor A9132. It deserves the title. It came runner-up back-to-back twice in Robo War and in Apple War. So poor A9132. But Argent X3, long retired now. It was just a piece of a toy roll stuck with a cardboard wedge flipper, as you can see. But long retired Argent, but it was one of the best robots in Apple Wars history, at least in the early days. And I think it was around like Series 22 where robots started to get, or Series 24 where robots started to get way more advanced, and robots like Argent just fell by the wayside. So yeah, And actually, something I forgot to mention in the original recording of the audio was that Apple Wars Series 19 is quite special because it is the only series that actually has footage of the original series. It's the only series that I actually filmed. I filmed like the first about 7 heats. It's I think heat A, B, C, D, part of heat F, and heat H. I recorded back in 2018, and yeah, I'll be uploading them to YouTube. So stay tuned for that. I'll have to edit some stuff because my face does appear, and I even if it was nearly 10 years ago, I don't want to show my face. So yeah, but that's exciting. You'll get to see history of Apple Wars. I'll call it Apple Wars Series 19, the found footage. So yeah, just stay tuned for that because I'm sure it will be quite fun. But going back into Robo War form, Unique won Series 20. Unique. It was. I'm pretty sure it was the same robot as this, the same version as this one, or maybe slightly different. But yeah, Unique won Series 20 of Apple Wars, and it beat Apollo because of course it did. It beat Apollo in the grand final and got its first Apple Wars trophy. Um, yeah, I don't have much else to say other than it won Series 20 of Apple Wars. So apart from being a Robo War legend and former champion, it's also an Apple Wars legend and former champion. So yeah, Unique second series trophy, I'm pretty sure. So yeah, that was Unique for Series 20. And the full body spinners continued because Series 21 was won by a robot called Helfany. Helfany only appeared on camera in Retired Wars, so you remember what that was. A long retired robot, it was a full body spinner that hit quite hard. It beat Apocalypse in the final, so Apocalypse once again got denied the third trophy. Yeah, again, not much to say over Helfany. It was just a full body spinner. Long retired now as well. But it took advantage of its time and won Series 21 and became an Apple Wars champion. So there's Helfany for you. And the full body spinners kept dominating Apple Wars because Series 22 was won by Cobalt again, and Cobalt and joined Apocalypse as three-time champions of Apple Wars, and Apollo as multiple-time champions of Apple Wars. Cobalt beat Wasp in the final to get its second title. And yeah, Cobalt one of the best robots in Apple Wars history, as you can tell. So good for him. And then Series 23 came along, and here is the start of a legend. Thunder 15 gets his first title of Apple Wars in Series 23. It defeated Apollo, because of course it did, in the grand final of Apple Wars Series 23, got its first trophy, and started a dominant run from the next couple series, as you will see in a bit. Series 24 won by Cassius 3. I really got in love with Cassius 3 from watching it in Robots Armageddon Rebirth. I decided to make my own, and in the first attempt, it won Series 24. It defeated Rumroll 2 in the grand final to become champions. And fun fact, this was Cassius 3, one of Cassius 3 only 3 series, because Series 25 afterwards was replaced by Cassius 4, not the Cassius 4 from that I built, that I show off in my the most recent Robot Showcase video, or the one that was supposed to compete in RWA Rebirth Series 4, but another Cassius 3, which was just a wedge flipper that replaced this Cassius 3 for some reason. But yeah, Cassius 3 champions. And in Series 25, Apollo did it once again, got its 4th trophy, and retired. That's right, Apollo won Series 25 of Apple Wars, beating Drumroll 3. So Drumroll, again, joining the club of robots that came runner-up back-to-back and not winning. And yeah, defeated Drumroll 3. But after the series, Apollo retired. It retired on a victory. And it stayed like that for the rest of the original Apple Wars run. So yeah, Apollo ended up on a high, and that was Apollo's last title ever. They didn't win anything afterwards, but they ended up on 4 titles, which, spoiler alert, is something only one other robot has replicated, but by technicality. So yeah, I can't really say much about Apollo. You can see it was the best robot in Apple Wars history, or it is the best robot in Apple Wars history since he's still around today. And Series 26, Thunder 15 came back again and won Series 26. It defeated Cobalt in the final, preventing Cobalt from becoming a 3-time champion, and got its second title, Thunder 15. And yeah, not much else to say. And then for Series 27, it was time for Drumroll 3 to get its title after coming back-to-back runner-up in Series 24 and 25. Series 27, it was its time. It won it. I'm sorry. It won it, and it defeated Wasp in the grand final. So, yeah, it was another robot that finished runner-up, but not back-to-back. But it did finish twice. Okay. Drumroll 3, Champions of Apple Wars. It's a shame Drumroll 3 did so bad in Apple Wars XL Series 1. They got knocked out in the first round by Flag of Doom and Apollo, so very hard group to be fair. But yeah, in the World Championship they did better, representing Scotland. But yeah, that was Drumroll 3, the Series 27 champion. Series 28 was another time for another robot to get its second title ever, which was Ace. Ace got its second title. It defeated Thunder 15 in the grand final, preventing Thunder 15 from getting its own third title. That was very good from Ace getting its second title in Apple Wars history. And then Series 29, however, Thunder 15 was not gonna let the chance for a third trophy go by. Thunder 15, winners of Series 29 of Apple Wars, getting its third trophy, and officially becoming the second most successful robot in Apple Wars history, just behind Apollo. It defeated 3 Stacks to Heaven in the grand final. It completely annihilating 3 Stacks to Heaven in a lot of ways. So, yeah, Thunder 15 won Series 29 and came into Series 30 hoping to get a back-to-back trophy and the fourth one. But unfortunately, Apple Wars Series 30 never got completed. And the reason why is because I was almost done filming. I didn't film back then. I was almost done doing all the heats. I got to Heat P, and the pandemic was announced. And my family and I fled to my grandparents' house for what was supposed to be a week. We at the time didn't realize how serious the matter was. At the time I don't think anybody realized how serious the matter was. And you know, we went over there, and I didn't take any of my robots, and, well, we stayed there for 6 months. And because of that, Apple Wars Series 30 was never completed. I got heat, there were 20 heats in Series 30, so, to let you know. I got to heat S of Apple Wars, and we were left with heat T, which was Stego Force's seed, the second seed, and unfortunately that never got. And after that, I didn't do it, and yeah, I never did Series 30 because by the time I finally got back to my house, I restored Apple Wars XL. So yeah, Series 30 of Apple Wars will be known as the ghost season, the season that never got completed. And it's because of my stay over at my grandparents' house with absolutely nothing that a certain series got created. Apple Wars Legacy was created out of the fact that I wanted to continue doing series, but I was basically starting from zero again. That's where that's actually the first 3 robot showcase show pretty much a bunch of the robots I did in that time. But yeah, it was not a great time. I did take some robots. I said I left all my robots behind. I took some, but not many. And yeah, I was left with a very weird situation. But Series 1 of Apple Wars Legacy was very small, like 8 robots at most. And it was won by Armbar, which was a box with 2 spikes, I guess, that I found at my grandparents' house, turned into a robot. And yeah, it's just a tornado style robot, just brute force and 2 spikes and pushing power. That's how it won Series 1. Unfortunately, the result of Apple Wars Legacy, I don't remember the exact results because I had them written down in a Word document. But unfortunately, when my old computer died, that took that document with it, and yeah, I don't have any memories I only know the champions of Apple Wars Legacy, so that's sad. Actually, I have Series 10 and 11 of Apple Wars Legacy in one of my old notebooks, but most of Apple Wars Legacy data is WAS media now, besides the champions, both of them. But yeah, I just wanted to get that out of the way. Armbar, the Series 1 Apple Wars Legacy champion. Series 2 was won by Kraken, one of the robots I did take with me for some reason. Kraken, just a wedge flipper made out of the original Chronic, actually, that I just taped over and called it Kraken, and it did very well. It won Series 2 of Apple Wars Legacy. It was a big deal robot, Kraken. Nowadays its flipper's bent backwards, so it doesn't flip very good anymore. But yeah, still, it managed to. One of the most surprising champions in Apple Wars, definitely, was Kraken. So yeah, shout out to Kraken. And then Series 3, Cassius 3, which is a very weird situation. I'll tell you why. Cassius 3 won Apple Wars Legacy Series 3, got the second title, good. However, I took Cassius 3, but only competed in Series 3. And I have no idea why I didn't use Cassius 3 in the first two series, or in the series after it won. I genuinely have no idea. I have no memories of it anymore. Obviously, that was 6 years ago. But maybe Cassius 3 got lost after Series 3, and I found out when I was moving back to my house or something. I have no idea. But that's why I mentioned in the Apple Wars Excel pilot that Cassius 3 wasn't beaten until a random roller beat it. Because of that. But yeah, I genuinely have no idea why Cassius 3 was only in Series 3 of Apple Wars Legacy. But the point is that it won, and one of the few times a champion did not come back to defend its title, alongside Apollo from Series 25 to 26. But yeah, Cassius 3 winners. And then here's where the MRW Master of Roll Wars started dominating Apple Wars Legacy, because Series 4 was won by Speed. Speed, who was completely rebuilt, obviously, was arguably my most powerful flipper in Apple Wars Legacy. It was very good, very speedy, and yeah, it won Series 4 and became a dominant force, and remember, it almost won Series 5 as well, but it got stopped by Flipper Blade 2. Of course, you see Flipper Blade 3, just an upgraded Flipper Blade 2. But Speed made the final of Series 5 and lost to Flipper Blade 2. So yeah, the Panamanian robot became an Apple Wars champion. And yeah, it was a very good robot back in the day, and still kind of is, although kind of outdated. But Flipper Blade 2 were Apple Wars champions, and yeah, not much else to say. And I would tell you guys who won Apple Wars Legacy Series 6, but I don't know. I have no idea who won Apple Wars Series 6, Apple Wars Legacy Series 6. It's the only time in Apple Wars history that a champion has become WAS Media. Because I didn't mention it in the first robot showcase I did, when I showed off all the champions of Apple Wars Legacy. And yeah, I just have no idea who the Apple Wars Legacy Series 6 champion is. So that's our second vacant trophy, Apple Wars Series 30 and Apple Wars Legacy Series 6. The two series that we don't know the champions of. One because it was never completed, and the other one because I lost the files of it. Good job, Apple. Idiot. But anyway, Series 7 came along, and Armbar got its title again, becoming the only Rambot in Apple Wars history to win 2 titles. So congrats to Armbar. It's actually a very good robot, believe it or not. It's still a very good robot. I have him here with me right now. But yeah, I'm pretty sure Speed was runner-up again that series. So yeah, Speed very dominant in those series. But was defeated by Armbar in the final. So actually, Speed could have won Series 6, but I just don't remember. So yeah, and I won't give him the title of it because I don't remember. But anyway, Armbar, runner-up, or 2-time champions, joining the list with Cobalt, Thunder 15, multiple times champions with Cobalt, Thunder 15, Ace, Apollo, and Apocalypse. So yeah. And then Series 8, now the Master of Rollers domination begins in Apple Wars Legacy. Cadwis won Series 8 of Apple Wars Legacy. Yeah, not much else to say. It just won it. I can't tell you who he won it over, but it won it. Series 9, won by Shamrock, who Actually, Red Action is actually a failed attempt at Shamrock, so that's a fun fact for you. But yeah, Shamrock, very powerful Flipper, won Series 9, very deservedly. And then Series 10 came along, and Arrowhead 2 continued the Master of Roars dominance, and won Apple Wars Legacy Series 10. So Arrowhead 2, also an Apple Wars champion. Actually, all of them got mentioned in MRW's 2021 Christmas special. It was 2021, right? Pretty sure it was 2021. The 2021 Christmas special by Master F. So thank you, Master F. And yeah, Arrowhead 2 champions of Apple Wars Legacy Series 10. And then Series 11, the final ever series I did before I started doing YouTube, was won by Pulsar, which is, don't know if you can tell, but Pulsar has had a bit of a rebuild since Apple XL Series 1, because his original front wedge and drum got caved in, so I had to rebuild them. But yeah, Pulsar, actually, hold on, I had to beat Apollo in the grand final of Series 10, by the way, I forgot to mention that. I do have, actually, Shamrock beat Apollo in the Series 9 grand final. I do have, Series 10 and 11 written down in paper, so that's why I remember that. And I know by the seeds of Series 10 that Apollo was second seed, so he had to come second to Shamrock in Series 9. But yeah, anyway, Pulsar won Series 11. It won it over the Salty Crackers, the multi-bot robot, you know. Yeah, Pulsar won it, and Pulsar ended, which, spoiler, Pulsar has the longest drought between titles in Apple Wars history. The drought was from Apple Wars OG Series 3 to Apple Wars Legacy Series 11, which is which you'll see later how much that the time drought is. But Pulsar, the final ever winner of Apple Wars Legacy and Apple Wars Untelevised. And then the Robotic Apple XL channel got created, and Apple Wars XL was born. Apple Wars XL. Hopefully you guys have watched Series 1. I would appreciate it if you guys have, if you haven't already. But yeah, since Apple Wars XL only has had one season, I'll just include the other two random mini tournaments I did for this part, because just to not make it that short, because yeah. And obviously I'm gonna go into even less detail with this, because these are all up on YouTube, so you can watch them if you want. But the Apple Wars XL pilot, of course, a random RoboWar won the Apple Wars XL pilot. Actually, a random RoboWar is named after, well, Random RoboWar, the original Apple Wars. So yeah, it's kind of a in memorial to Random RoboWar. Is that robot? So that's why I built a Random RoboWar, particularly as a memoir of the original Apple Wars series, and it beat Cassius 3 in the final of the pilot. So that was Cassius 3's first. Excuse me. That was Cassius 3's first defeat ever, which was quite nuts for a Random RoboWar. Who at the time was probably the most best known of all the competitors in the pilot, and it ended up winning. So yeah, package full of surprise to the Random RoboWar. As you guys know, Series 1 of Apple Wars XL, actually now, was won by Chronic 2. What a massive shock looking at it, because Chronic 2 had only made it out of the heat a handful of times in the original Apple Wars and in Apple Wars Legacy. So the fact that it won Series 1 out of nowhere, defeated Steve 2 in the final, which was Steve 2 making it to the final as well, was incredibly shocking. That was a shocking final. The first time either of those two got to a grand final ever in anything, so yeah. But Chronic 2, the Apple Wars XL Series 1 champion, got slightly rebuilt since then. I don't know if you can tell, but it is slightly different. But the champion of Apple Wars XL. So, and finally, the last tournament I ever did, not counting like specials like the Halloween and Christmas specials or stuff like that, Thunder 15 came to crown again, winning RoboWar XL and getting its fourth official series title. There may be a bit of controversy around that, because RoboWar XL was a mini tournament that wasn't connected to Apple Wars, but one, I just wanted to include it, and two, Apollo won Series 1 with 12 teams, so yeah, so it kind of balances everything out between everything. But yeah, Thunder 15 drew a poll in the amount of titles, and that's it. Those are all the titles in App Wars history. So here is the App Wars all-time title rankings. As you can see, Apollo and Thunder 15 lead that with 4 titles in total, easily and by a long shot. The 2 most successful robots in App Wars history are those 2. So after that comes Apocalypse, Cobalt, Pulsar, Cassius 3, Armor, and Ace as the other multi-time champions of App Wars. After that, Jawbreaker, Drumroll 3, Speed, Danton Kia, Argenx 3, Exterminator, Wheelie Big Cheese, Rambot, Flipper Blade 2, Catalyst, Shamrock, Unique, Rubber Duck, Arrowhead 2, Chronic 2, Crackers and Smash, Racer, Battlebot, Helfany, Kraken, Pixar 2, and a random RoboWar are the other App Wars champions, bringing us to a total of hold on, let me count. There we go. It's a total of 30 champions in App Wars history. So there you go. As you can see, the longest routes between titles, Pulsar leads it with 37 seasons between its first title in App Wars in App Wars OG Series 3 and App Wars Legacy Series 11. After that comes Cobalt with 15 seasons from App Wars Series 7 to App Wars Series 22. Thunder 15 with 14 seasons between App Wars OG Series 29 and RoboWar XL. Which again, I'm counting that as an asterisk alongside a random RoboWars title, pilot title, but you know, to add more stuff to the video. And Apollo with 13 seasons, those being the title between Series 5 and Series 18 of the original App Wars. Then the longest active title routes, I'm only counting robots that are still active in App Wars, well, active in giant quotation marks. Jawbreaker with 41 seasons, easily has the longest title route and probably will forever have the longest title route in App Wars history. Then it's Rambo with 37 seasons, Rubber Duck with 35 seasons, and Exterminator with 32. And as you can see there, press F in the chat for the most runner-ups with no title. Azure, A9132, and Wasp. F to them. And, well, ladies and gentlemen, that is it. Good God, this is nearly an hour video, by far my longest video in the Robotic Apple XL channel, and my second longest video of all time. But, yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I had a lot of fun making it, just looking back at the history of App Wars and realized, damn, I have made a lot of seasons, and a lot of different robots I've won, which I find it pretty good. Despite Apollo's dominance in App Wars. And I guess Thunder 15, the later seasons. Those 2, again, by far the kings of App Wars of all time. So, yeah. That's it. That's the history of App Wars. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And thanks for watching, and have a good day. Bye.